All right, everyone. Welcome to the Q&A with Alan. Oh, excuse me, I goofed it up. I was going to do a joke. Welcome to the Q&A with Marshall and Matt show. Oh, Alan's finally here.
I am here. Sorry about that.
I stumbled through that. This is why I'm not a stand-up comedian.
Oh,
So anyway, it's Friday. It's been a crazy week. And we have our good friend Matt with Printavo here today to be a guest and talk about all things decorated apparel industry. How you doing today, Matt?
I'm doing awesome. I'm stoked to get to chat with you guys. I haven't seen your faces in a minute with trade shows, so it's good to be here.
Yeah, and I totally ruined the joke that I was going to do.
We were replacing you. He's like, I'm gonna come in saying with Marshall and Matt, and then he's like with Alan. Luckily, his little fumble there gave you time to get in the seat for the introduction. So you almost officially lost your co-host duties to me, but you made it back in the right time.
With good reason, Matt. I've known you do it way better than me. So
I don't know about that.
Who knows? I'm gonna have to have my A game on now.
I don't have the Alan demeanor. You always pull off that just like good-hearted person. I'll hit an edge with every now and then. So
well, I appreciate that, but I don't think so. Half the time it's just blowing smoke, and they love the smoke screen. So
Oh, so that's why I like you. Yeah, keep doing what you're doing.
All right, far. All right, so let's just get into some stuff. So if you're watching right now, please say hello. I know I got some people doing that right now. We would love to hear from you. We want to know all about you and your shop and what's going on. So take a minute and drop a comment. Let us know who you are, say hello, where you're watching from, all that kind of jazz. And then also, if you could do us a huge favor and share that you're watching right now. We would really love to get people who are just, it's Friday. I don't know what they're doing, but if you share right now, maybe we can get more people to watch, and that will help our show grow. So we would appreciate it if you could do that right now. So let's say hello to some folks. Cindy says good morning.
Morning, Cindy from Texas.
She agrees it's a crazy Friday and it's not lunchtime yet. Our good friend Peter's here. Good morning.
What's up, Peter?
And for M&R, Carlos is here.
From Sharp Prints.
Waiting for this one. That's great.
He's a buddy too. What's up, Carlos?
He's awesome, Carl.
And Peter says hello, Alan, Marshall, and Matt. Pete and Val from Sweet Teas for You. And Michiganders, you Michiganders stick together.
Absolutely.
We're chuckling about that earlier. Ghost is from Sweden. Hey,
how you doing, Ghosta?
Good to see you again. James is here. Hey, guys. Good to see you.
Got the ink people on from Avian. Yeah.
Hey, fellas. Happy Friday from New Mexico. Appreciate you, Charles. So anyway, it's thanks, everyone. We appreciate you. And we've got some really fun topics today that we're going to get into. And we would love for you to post your ideas, your comments, your questions. Don't be bashful. Okay. And so that's what makes the show work, because look, where's my finger here? Let's see if I can get it. It's a Q&A with Alan and Marshall, right? It's the questions that make the show run. So, anyway, so Matt, why don't you tell everyone, if they don't know who you are, talk about what you do and kind of your career in the industry and what you're all about.
Yeah. So I'm Matt Marcotte. I work for Printavo. I'm Senior Success Manager at Printavo. This is a newer gig for me. I've been here for just over a year. I celebrated my 1 year here, actually. Prior to that, most of my industry experience really came from being a production manager of a large-scale facility. I did that right after college. Ended up becoming production manager of a shop that was 8 autos, 6 manuals, 40 heads of embroidery. Got into some laser. Went from being just a garage printer who'd been doing it all throughout like my childhood and into college to running a large scale production facility. So it was kind of like thrown to the wolves there. Had to figure it out on the fly, sink or swim. And I managed to at least doggy paddle. I can't say I was doing backstrokes, but I was able to doggy paddle through those things. I met some really great folks, one of them being a man named Sid Tabor, who had a supply company called T&J Printing Supply. He is, For those of you who were able to meet him before he passed, he was just a light in this world. It's a phenomenal human being. He saw something that I didn't even see in myself at the time, and he told me, like, hey, you've got a knack for printing. You're a damn good printer. You're also really good with explaining things, working with people. You should be selling supplies and equipment and consulting. And he knew that I was unhappy with the shop I was running. I just kind of hit a spot where I felt I had grown to where I needed to continue to grow there, and they had kind of imposed a ceiling on me. So I went on a limb and became a road warrior for him. Ended up being there for 6 years. Unfortunately, about 3 years into it, he ended up passing away from cancer, which was just awful.
Yeah.
And it's still a hole in the industry from where Sid has left it, I believe.
Very
But
true.
I learned a lot from him, and the people that he chose to have around him, even after he passed, when it came to a different side of the world, right? So I felt like I knew printing pretty damn well. There's always more to learn, don't get me wrong. But I knew printing very well. I knew production management pretty well as well. I didn't know sales. I didn't know consulting. I only had one scope on supplies, right? When you're in your shop, a shop that big too, I inherited things, right? Now, luckily, I inherited things that like Joe Clark and other geniuses had actually figured out at that shop.
Yeah.
So I inherited some gold out of the gate, right? Which we stand on the shoulders of giants, right? So my career is exactly that.
Agreed.
I'm able to stand because of the shoulders of giants like Sid, like Joe Clark, like these folks before them as well, who set the tone. So I then was able to go work with distributors, meet guys like Alan, right? Learn from people that are more focused. I'm working with just chemicals all day. Here's what I know. Oh my God, there's so many more insights to these variables that I was able to like now key in, making me an even better production manager, a better printer, right? Same with awesome ink manufacturers, getting to hang out with like Jesse at Matsui for like weeks on end, going into shops, troubleshooting, like, why is this massive shop having an issue with an ink? Here's the solve. Oh my goodness, right? Like you now are leaving your very scoped learning opportunity and expanding that.
It's not
Absolutely.
the ink.
Yeah.
It's never the ink. It's something else.
Right.
And Matt, and I will say, when you were with T&J, you were definitely the road warrior. I mean, based in Chicago, you were everywhere. I mean, even up here in Northern Michigan, your fingerprints are still there and those printers are doing well. So nice job. And I think I've met you. I saw you at shows, but the first time we ever really talked was you came down to a Skills USA and we were all at dinner there. And you were the young guy there, man, and all excited on there. And we just let you go and listen.
Yep.
But,
I was definitely fanboying out / putting my foot in my mouth wherever I could.
It was, you know what? It's been great watching your career, and so I know I'm honored. I'm glad to have you on the show. We've talked before, so
yeah, I appreciate it. But yeah, I mean, that was kind of it. Like getting, I guess, any kind of like slight street cred I might have been able to say I have was really from those 6 years of having to hoof it, right? Be in the shops, deal with the problems. And the things that you learn and you attain, right? You know, that fake it till you make it, like of every single day, right? But I was actually learning how to do the job, how to better help people. And it's one of those things where I think, Alan, you and I have even joked, like part of why we have jobs is because we understand the variables and can control the variables and work that. People oftentimes get kind of stuck in the madness and they forget to slow things down and actually look at things individually. And that's what I was able to learn from the pros, the Bill Christensens, the Jessies, the Allens, like everybody, right? Like, and I don't take that for granted. I literally got to spend weeks in cars with these titans of industry.
I love the fact that, Marshall, you'll agree too, that, you know, what you said, Matt, about standing on the shoulders of giants, because for my career now, I don't know, Matt, if you heard me interview, I talk about when I started, I was 20 and I had a new rep for a company asked me, goes, all right, what would Alan now tell 20-year-old Alan? I go, well, 20-year-old angry Alan wouldn't listen, so it would have been fruitless. But, you know, I learned stuff from guys before then, you know, from the Richard Greaves, the Joe Clarks, the Al Petzies, the Marvin Pages, the Larry Rogers. I had a company like T&J where Larry Rogers, J Products, and, you know, he let angry Alan, he didn't throw him to the curb. Nobody threw me to the curb. And I know Joe Clark, we laughed about it when I was inducted to the academy. Joe was sick already, and he called me and we were talking. And I said, Joe, I just want to thank you for just your 30 years of investment and not throwing me to the curb. And he goes, you know, we never really we didn't throw you to the curb. He goes, there may have been a meeting or two about it, but we never did. You know, and only Joe's comic fashion. So, but that's great. That is great. I think that's something for everybody. Marshall, you and I talk, and Matt, we have it. Every day is learning from someone. I don't. If I go a day without learning something, then it's a waste. I didn't do anything.
Yeah, I think if anybody in this industry says they know it all, is just full of crap.
Oh yeah, just walk away.
Run. Do not sign up for their seminar.
Very far. Yeah.
The amount of stuff that I don't know is just amazing.
Yeah.
I'm always learning stuff, right? And I don't know everything, and I don't profess to either. So
yeah, I mean, and I'm not a great printer, Matt. You can get there right behind the press and just still fly and all that. I am a fundamental, basics guy. Let's work it back, and what's the problem, and that's 90% of what I do.
Yeah, good.
I think it's 90% of what needs to be done. The other 10% is all flair anyways. So me printing is the 10% flair anyways, right?
Well, and when it gets to that, I'm just going to throw them to Kudre or someone like that, James Erlani, who knows more, guys that know more than me, which is a lot of people. You, Matt, here. Now tweak this. You got the basics down. Now tweak it. Go.
Yeah.
Right. So we got some comments. Let's make sure we get them out. So Cindy says, thank you, M&R. Last Friday, our belt motor on the dryer went out. M&R took care of us. Thanks, Cindy. I know Peter appreciates that shout out. Good job.
Yep.
Frank from SNS is here. Says, good morning, guys.
Morning, Frank.
David Eggers says, what up?
What's up, David?
Guru.
He is that.
Sam's here. Afternoon.
Sam Bollinger. What's up, Sam?
And Cora's here from Centuria, Wisconsin. It's been a while. Glad to have this time this Friday. Us too, Cora. Thank you for joining us. We
missed
appreciate
you. Yeah, great.
Well, right, Marshall, so ready for a first topic?
No. You know what we need to do?
Oh, we have to pay some bills.
We do. You know what? Because this just doesn't happen on here. We want to thank Graphic Solutions Group and GSG.
Yeah. And we'll be talking about them in a minute, I'm sure. But let's run their video real quick.
Absolutely. Get to know them.
I love that song.
Good job.
Yeah.
Hey, Alan, your microphone went away.
So good.
All right, cool. Hey, so here you go. First question. Hey, Frank, when are you getting some more C112 caps in?
Oh, poor Frank.
Hey, Frank, can you answer Cindy real quick? She's hurting.
Everyone is hurting on those caps too. It's not just you, Cindy. We
should make that a topic. We should make that a topic.
I think we have it coming up. Do you just want to hit that first?
Sure, might as well.
Shortages still. So I'm sure by now you guys have heard that some of the ink manufacturers or distributors have said, hey, hold on there, cowboy. We're only going to sell you 75% of what you've normally been buying. And so this has created some challenges and some frustration because now the world is opened up and we get to sell, but now we can't print it because we don't have ink. And that's what everybody's really looking at right now.
Another I heard this week, another ink manufacturer is with their dealers. They said it's going to be on a sliding scale every month. They're just going to take a look at it.
I've heard that from a few manufacturers. I've also heard the opposite from at least one manufacturer saying they are ramped up and ready to go.
Right.
So
I think it's who they are and whatever. And Rob Coleman's here. I'm sure he's got some opinions.
Absolutely.
And I was talking about Rob. I was talking about you the other day where your full-time job now is defending your company on Facebook, it looks like. So I just thought that was kind of interesting. So I think right now everybody is just trying to make do and keep people going. And what we don't want more than anything is, if you recall, during the first phases of COVID, is remember the empty shells where toilet paper used to be, right?
Yeah.
We don't want that for ink. And so people are trying to get the governor on it a little bit. So people don't buy ahead of what they normally would have purchased. And that's what's going on here. And I think all the companies are trying to be responsible. They're trying to do the right thing. And we have to work our way through this the best we can. And I know everybody's got an opinion, and this is going to be a hot topic today. So, Matt, I want to give you the opportunity to talk about this a little bit because you've been on the supplier side a little bit. I know you talked to a lot of shops. What are you seeing and hearing?
I mean, yeah, this is unfortunately it's universal. That being said, you nailed it on the head, right? People are going to start seeing shortages. They're going to run and get all the toilet paper, all the chicken breasts, right? All the things that they think they're going to need to stock up for much more than they actually would need. And it's going to perpetuate and create man-made shortages on top of the already freight issues that we're currently having. So 100%, they are. It's not that they're making the wrong move by doing this. They're trying to help flatten the line when it comes to what products are being utilized. That being said, you might want to still try to figure out if you do need to stock up slightly, like figure out what's the difference between need and must. Like make sure you've got data to supply this. Don't go on a gut. Don't be like, oh, I think I need to just double this. That you're gonna be wasting then too amount of money you're spending. All that it's gonna also affect somebody else. So look at the data. Look at trajectory wise, how much the work you're gonna do based off of the last couple of years. Don't look at last year because last year's a crapshoot, right? But look at the last 3 to 4 years. In the next 3 months, how much business do you do on average? And actually kind of flatten that out and figure out what can I get by with and try to save a little bit left for everybody else. Get you what you need, but don't go crazy, but don't also just feel emotional about this. Try to look at your data the best that you can.
I think this is a great time for people to reevaluate their business on what they do, Matt. You know, we've become so comfortable with JIT, with distributors always having it. I can get it in 24 hours. And that's not always the case. And now is the time to have your A suppliers, your B suppliers, to instead of just having a 5-gallon of white, you might want to have 2 5s and then just make sure so you're not, you know, if there's a 4-week lead time, you're okay with that. But now's the time to test products, to know what your A, B, and C are and know who they are. So,
And I was talking with, is Jesse on here yet?
He is.
I was talking with Jesse Martinez earlier this week about this, and he was telling, reminding me that, you know, you can print high solids acrylic white as an underbase with plastisol on top. And I know everybody's looking at, you know, as white as one of the things they really want to stock up on. White and black's probably the most common colors used, right? And so that was kind of a good tip. And so if you haven't started using water-based yet, maybe this is the time to test it out just to make sure. Because, and Jesse, please comment. He was saying that, you know, the resin issue, which is the reason why people are restricting buying the ink, isn't so much with water-based inks. So maybe this could be a solution for you. You have to learn how to use it first and use it properly. And then maybe that can get you through the hump, right? So, you know, so anyway, so that was a kind of a good idea. And then our sponsor, GSG, would like everyone to know that they have some good stock on their Vortex line of inks. So if you're stuck and you can't get what you need, go to GoGSG.com and let them help you out.
and on that Vortex line, again, don't go and hoard it, because the real quote, and we stay in touch with our sponsor, and Mr. Granberry responded to us and talked to his team and said they're good on that, but they are watching raw materials on that too.
Right.
So it's not like there's this endless supply. So yeah, like everybody, they're trying to manage like we are on raw materials, like every manufacturer is. So yeah.
Right.
And I would also say, like, maybe now's the time to do some ink cleanup, right? Certain mixing systems will have a recycle feature built in where you can say, hey, I've got these colors, and you can blend them. If you don't have that system, well, hopefully someone has a good eye for color. If not, get a color wheel and start learning it, because it's definitely an important skill to have. And you can mix on the fly then.
Mixing colors by eye, unless you're the best people who know how to do this are actually painters. Like, you know, I'm an artist. I can do that with a drop of a hat because I know what colors make another color.
Well, that's where the color wheel comes in handy for those who don't have that eye already.
Yeah, absolutely.
But you know, if you're not careful, you're going to get a bucket of brown real quick.
Oh, so
yeah.
My recommendation, everybody, is you start off on an ink card the size of a phone, and you just use little bits of it to get the color you want, and then you mimic that into a bucket. But now, instead of creating more waste, consuming more than you need to, you're already sitting on inventory of inks that maybe aren't being used. Again, if you've got like a Will Flex or a Rutland or one of these basic ones, you're gonna already have a recycle feature in there. I'm not sure if Monarch has recycle or not, but I know a lot of these folks have that. Otherwise, also you can start using your eye a little bit and train yourself in that skill too. But start using what you've got before buying more.
Yeah, and that's a great feature. I'm sorry, Marshall. Go ahead.
Does Rutland have a recycle feature? I'm not sure.
I was just going to say on their IMS system that Avian has.
Well, IMS is for the Wolflex.
But I think I think they're all together now. You can do them all.
Are they?
Yeah. Okay. Someone correct me. James Ortolani's on here. Correct me if I'm wrong. There is a recycle feature, and that is golden. I think a lot of the companies have them. If not, they're coming out with them. But that is something that needs to be done. And should have been done anyways. So we're being forced to, instead of having that wall of every color you've ever made that you're never going to use.
Yep. And I know, and I agree with Marshall. Color theory is its own thing. I took literally multiple semesters in college on color theory, but it's a good thing to learn. So now's a good time to start. If you're doing a mix, don't get me wrong, the IMS system, it's going to get you 98% accuracy, but those 2% that are off, you're going to have to wait all day for them to fix it for you, or you can start playing with color theory now to become a better ink mixer, ink chemist, and actually make these colors happen. So it's always good to start off right now, if you can, with learning those little bits. It's going to make you much better at what you're doing. And
if you're going to start this too, Matt, I always recommend too. Yeah, I love the little smear in the car. Make sure you cure that too, because sometimes the cured ink looks different.
Swatch it straight up.
Swatch it right there.
Swatch it up. If you can have a screen in your ink department that has little swatches, pull those actual swatches. Yep. Oh yeah.
Don't even need emulsion on it. Just a little 2-inch squeegee just to do the little swatch on it.
So absolutely. If you've ever been to Cold Stone Creamery, how they mix ice cream, that's what we're talking about.
Yep.
Right?
Exactly. 100%.
Yep.
So let's get some comments.
Great topics. Great conversation.
So Rob says, oh boy, here we go. Cindy says, Richardson sent an email, price increase and now air freight bill. So she's not happy with that. So, hey, pass that along to your customer. Don't eat it.
Yeah. This goes back to on shortages while we're talking about getting supply. You know, we have to remember, you have to communicate with your clients.
Yes.
On it. If you're on the supply side, you got to communicate with your printers and garment decorators. You have to communicate with your clients too, and let them know if they're going, what shortages, tell them go away. Then they're living in a cave.
And I keep seeing, here's just another COVID excuse. Well, duh. Okay. I think
this doesn't matter. It's where we are.
This is where we are.
And that's where we say, okay, well, here's my COVID excuse.
Yeah.
Boop. Yeah, right. No, I don't think that's good. So Jesse says, hey, this is going to be fun. Frank says, unfortunately, C112 is not a style we offer. Now the Richardson 112 will be available soon if your definition of soon is 4 to 6 months.
Oh, that's a bummer, Frank.
You know what?
The honesty.
But I was going to say, at least there's information.
Right. And then Rob says, wish I could talk and not type. Be happy to come on sometime. Rob will be reaching out, I'm sure. Alan is our scheduler. So he'll reach out. Way too much to discuss here above the keyboard.
Agreed.
Yeah. And Cindy says, I think toilet paper stock is in stores is good. It's just about anything you need in decorating business. Good point, Matt. Dave Egger says 100%. Rob says true. And what Jesse says, just watch your cure about using a high solids white underbase. If you have never done this, then test.
Yep.
I'm gonna say watch your cure, and more important than that, on there, you better have your stencil procedures right down, or you're
make sure your emulsion can handle water base. Otherwise, you're going to break down on press.
And that first flash cannot fully cure that white water base. Otherwise, you won't bond.
You know, it's not just the emulsion. You better have a light source that can handle it. I talked to one manufacturer. I said, I'm friends with. I said, if I see another fluorescent tube unit with no vacuum on it, and you tell these people they can do water-based, I'm going to fly there and just kill someone.
Can we break apart real quick? I want to talk about just how I've been saying it for years. I think, Alan, I think you may have even said it as well, that LEDs aren't that great, although they're fast. I'm starting to see all these shops that were early adopters to LEDs now literally begging anybody for their MSP 3140, right?
Yeah.
Going back to M&R and having M&R even has had to recently make a couple MSP 3140s for these shops that wanted to go back because the higher detail, the water base. I think it's funny that LED trend like went off, and I'm starting to see it come back to where I've always said, like, look, you can get efficient. You don't have to be looking at 30-second exposure times. Yeah. You need to have a good screen that works every time.
Well, and that comes down to the emulsion, and then what people call, there's the sensitivity and then the reaction rate of emulsion, and I can get into that there. That sometimes it just doesn't get that super deep cure. So if you are going to a little bit of a diazo into it, gives you a longer latitude, so you can't have those fast exposures because you want that real deep cure on it. Because if you don't, sometimes if your LEDs, there's so many LEDs out there, if it's not at the right nanometer, you're gonna have, it's gonna skin over and just not gonna get there on top.
It's gonna be an Oreo. The outside's hard, the middle's still soft.
Yeah, that's why you have to post expose. Discharge is a little bit more forgiving. HSAs and water-based become a little bit harder on there. It can be done, but yeah, this is where metal halides kind of just give you that instantly deep cure.
That's what Jesse just said, that metal halides is still my favorite. Amen to that, brother.
It is.
So Jesse says also recommend getting, I need to catch up on these comments, by the way.
Yeah.
Back up.
I agree.
Very true, Rob. Rob says, unfortunately, people do hoard. We had someone who has not bought plastisol from us in 3 years try to buy 10 drums of white. That is not the exception either.
Shocking that happens.
Yeah. This one is spot on. IMS is for all brands. Thank you, Rob, for clearing that up. Dan also. Hey, Dan's here.
Dan Solomon. Dan, are you back in Michigan or in the UK? Because he was coming back this month.
Is he? Okay, the Wales tour is over.
No. He has a wedding and stuff, and then Dan has incredible property on the west side of the state. I've had the pleasure of being there. So
okay, remember there are other ink companies that have outstanding ink besides One Stroke, Wolflux, and Rutland, and other Avion companies. It's a great time to explore options like Monarch. Okay, good comment there. We used to add unused colors into our black to extend it. Yep. I've done that a bunch.
Mm-hmm, yeah.
And then I used to make a black that I called shitty black, which is a
brownish black.
You take all of your dark colors and put it in a 5-gallon and mix it with other black, and it's great for sponsor logos and stuff. And then you reduce that with curable reducer to make a fantastic ink called Smoke, which is translucent, which is the best ink ever for drop shadows, because especially on a heather, because the little specks will show through and it actually looks like a shadow and it's not a halftone. So that's one of my favorite things ever.
Mm-hmm. Love that.
And here's Jesse's meta highlight comment is still my favorite. And Dan says, back in the States, back home next week. There you go.
I knew you were
caught up on comments
because there was an aura. I think too on Dave Egger's post. Yeah, this is where you start looking at A, B, and C things. It's a great time to start testing.
Yeah.
But I think one thing to remember is that, none of these ink companies have this like secret supply stash of where they get raw materials from. A lot of them get them from the same suppliers. It's all about how much they're allotted, how big their customer base is, how much that's there. And some of those companies that haven't struggled, they're now starting to have a little bit. And remember, while they may have stock, that still means, like Frank said, may have stock and can ship is that 4 to 6 weeks. Just remember all that. I just don't want to give the impression that there's this, they have this magical stock of raw materials that nobody else knows about. That's just not it.
Yeah. And Jesse says that water-based black works great also. So
awesome.
So here's the thing is, I think as we move through Q3 and Q4 and into next year, we're going to see this. This is not going to go away. Eventually everybody's going to get caught back up because let me tell you, all the manufacturers they're doing their best to get caught back up, right? Nobody is not trying to solve this problem. And you think that's true, you're crazy.
Yeah.
Because they don't want you to go buy from the competition and go, hey, this works good too. They want you to keep them as a customer, right? So that's what's really going on here. And so I think if we're just a little bit patient, I think we explore some possibilities because we're still going to have to solve our problems, right? So I would recommend trying to find some alternative sources and products and do some testing and create an account with somebody maybe you've never used before, that type of stuff, and see what they're all about. I think this is some opportunity for distributors to really get some new business and everything. But
how about you also meet your neighbor, right? Maybe you reach out to the other shops in your community and let them know, like, hey, we're all facing this together. If you need something that maybe I have, do me a favor, just reach out. I want to make sure that we're all in this together. If we can help use this time for community and a little less divisiveness, especially while we're all going through rough days of getting good goods in and supplies in, we can get through this together as a team,
Good point, Matt.
And not every t-shirt printer or embroiderer or whatever is your enemy, because a lot of them, we have different customer bases, right? So
there's plenty of work for all of us. We should always be teaming up, even with our competitors, especially with our competitors.
Right. Agreed.
So Sam says Matsui's the best, in my opinion. Go water based. There you go.
We love Sam's. We love Sam's opinion, though.
I also love Sam.
Sam's great guy.
Jesse also wants to say shipping costs are causing issues, as well as lack of labor help.
Agreed.
Totally agree with that. And Rob said what Jesse just said: issues all over, up and down supply chain, even with no raw material.
Absolutely.
So
it's not one thing, and we have to remember that it's not just one thing. It's a bunch of things.
So I think the takeaway here for me is you need to be communicating with your customers about what's going on and really get the orders in earlier. And because you're going to have to find the apparel, you're going to have to find the ink or, whatever. And even if you do, you normally would get it in, it might be a couple more days before it actually gets delivered, even though it's supposed to be delivered on Wednesday. So be cognizant of that and get your customers to try to buy from you earlier and get that order going. And this needs to be communicated often, right? Just because you send out an email or a newsletter doesn't mean they read that, right? So keep communicating, keep doing that all the time, and let people know what's going on.
Segment your work too. If you're finding out, like, you know what, we're losing customers because they really wish they could have these 2-3 day turns on these 1-2 color jobs or these 5-6 color jobs. Maybe you haven't segmented your customers correctly and you're forcing them into a decoration method that maybe you prefer, but they don't actually require. Maybe you can start looking at, hey, to get ahead of this when it continues to be an issue in the future, maybe I should look at getting my first DTG unit. Maybe I should think about reaching out to like Supercolor or somebody and getting some transfers made. Maybe I should think about some other decoration methods that will actually cut my overhead demand, my needs for what I need to fulfill, and actually deliver what maybe they actually wanted all along before I implied my thoughts on that product.
Right.
So resegment your customers. Use this as a learning experience.
Yeah. Maybe I should partner with another dealer or another printer going, hey, this work, I just can't handle. I'm too busy on it. Can you do it? And this is where it is. That's what they specialize in. You do that bigger stuff and what it is and contract it out.
Right.
Yeah, absolutely.
So Cindy says, when our dryer went down, we flashed our shirts and went to another printer and used their dryer. Great connections. Congratulations, Cindy. I love that. Good job.
That's
good
great.
Relationship
Thank you
building.
for sharing that,
Good
Cindy.
job.
That's exactly what it's about.
Frank says, does anyone have any good news?
Is that what he calls when he updates people about his own life? Good news?
Yeah, good news.
It is.
Yeah, that's
Between
pretty funny.
Frank Good and Ron Good, and yeah, that's what we have. It's a good day.
It's all good news. I got some good news. Shirt Lab Fort Worth, we're just under 100 attendees right now, and So we'll probably break 100 just by this weekend. So
the good news is
get signed up.
made my hotel reservation this morning too.
Good.
You know what the good news is, and we have to remember. Last year at this time, we were going, "Where's the work?"
Yeah.
These are problems. Yeah, we could say it's COVID related because we ramped up and it opened up and everybody went nuts right away. There's still issues out there. So this is a good thing. It's not horrible. I hate to say it. These are good problems. They're still problems, but they're good problems.
Got a great comment here from John. We work with a lot of local businesses, and every time they pick up, I ask if they're seeing shortages or delays in their supply chain, and they are. It's everyone, which makes it easier for our customers to understand what challenges we're facing with inventory because everybody's doing it the same way. So great.
Absolutely. John, thank you. John's out of Richmond, Indiana. I've been to his shop. Great guy. Thank you very much, John.
Rob says the good news is this Friday or the 5th Monday in my world.
Yeah. And the other good news too, I think, and this goes to GSG, to Easyway, to Rob at NASDAR and stuff, to Matsui, to everybody. Everybody is working their tail end off. I know it's been a stressful year to handle these solutions. Like, we can't say it enough, Marshall, like you did. Nobody's sitting on stuff and not wanting to help you as a printer. Frank and all that, they are doing everything they could. We are going nuts. And so every day it's one big putting out a fire at a time. So great job to the manufacturers.
Jesse says it's 90 here in Arizona. My brother, Tim, this is my younger brother. He's going to Hawaii on Saturday. So that's his good news. Thanks, Tim, for commenting.
Yeah. Tim, I have heard so many stories about you. I feel like I know you, but I don't want to know, because some of them, I don't want to know you that well.
Mike says, good news is Shirt Lab and ISS is next month. Thanks, Mike. See you there.
And the other good news, we're going to be broadcasting from there, live from GSG's booth again. It's going to be a fun time.
Let me tell you something. Here's some good news. Mike, and I want to say it's 5 or 6 other shops have got an Airbnb for Fort Worth to hang out together for that trade show and for Shirt Lab, right? So I love that. So I think it's 5 other shops. Mike, let me know if my number's wrong.
Matt, you need to come down, hang out with us. It'll be a riot.
I should be there.
Marshall's ready for FSU football. Hell yes, buddy. Flying to Tallahassee the Labor Day weekend to watch FSU kick Notre Dame's ass. So
Sam, that just gets him vibrating. He's no good to us now. He's all Twitter faded over FSU football again. So
Carla says labor is tough, and we in the city can imagine small towns. Yes.
Yeah, absolutely.
Charles can't go to Shirt Lab, so upset about that. Hey, don't forget we have a live streaming option.
Yep.
So take advantage of that. We're going to be live streaming Shirt Lab because we have people that can't come because they live in Canada or, the UK or Sweden, or New Mexico, right? So don't forget about that. Simon says just got quoted 6 months on gallon jugs. So still cray out there.
Yeah, right there. So Simon's with Techmark. What he's talking about there in gallon jugs, it's containers.
Yeah, right.
So yeah.
Bruce says heading to Amsterdam.
Ooh, enjoy the cheese. So
absolutely.
Good.
Jesse says Matt has the best voice ever.
I've got a face for radio.
I thought it was me.
I've been told that too.
Heading to Paso Robles this afternoon, wine and dine.
All right.
Dave said, I know you're sponsored by GSG, but all the time for shops to contact other distributors for ink and supply options to keep your shop printing.
That's what we've said. You've got to have your A and B.
Yep.
Yeah, we've said that multiple times.
All right.
You have your A, B, and C's.
So we've got this has been one topic. Let's get on another one. Okay. So we've got 3 more. Which one do you want to go to?
I don't
Career
know.
paths, production scheduling, or better decisions? We're not going to get all of them.
Go, Marshall.
Let's do production scheduling.
Cool. That works.
So
for me.
I think this has been a hot topic for me this week because I've been helping some shops through this challenge right now. And a lot of people, especially when they're really busy, they get off the rails with their production. They can't catch up, right? And so, when you're slow, everything can go out. It's not a big deal, right? When we start booking lots of orders, now we know that job's supposed to go out on Thursday and we can't get to the thing till Tuesday, right? That's the issue, right? And so for me, the one thing that I want to kind of just address is the fact that if you're looking at this, there's three things that you got to look at. One is your capacity, which is your ability to predict what you can do every day, right? So if you're booking more jobs than you have a capacity for, of course you're not going to be able to get it out, right? The other thing is understanding your velocity. So how fast can you print? Okay. So is your auto running at an average of 400 an hour, or is it a 250? Do you have a full crew, or do you just have one guy loading and unloading? Right. So those things affect how much that you can do. So look at that. And the third, and I think the most important thing is, what are you saying yes to? Okay. So a lot as shops, we want to say yes to everything. And I totally get it. But you and I both know that you're saying yes to some jobs that you have no business taking. Maybe you're a manual shop and you said yes to that 1,500 piece job, and you're trying to print it instead of outsourcing it to a contract printer that can do that in a couple hours. Right?
Or your buddy that has an automatic up
whatever,
the road,
right?
that maybe you can borrow ink and swap shirts for.
Those are the three things that I think really affect your production scheduling, right? So I love to hear Matt's take on that and how he thinks, because you run a shop and have a lot of experience in this. How are you guys sticking to your schedule, and what do you do to make it happen?
Yeah, first off, I couldn't agree more with your points that you just made there. That's huge. I always tell people that, to me, a lot of shops, you look at them and they're kind of like treading water and just like getting packed on gold bars, right? And eventually they're going to be sinking and they can't hold it, and they just want more gold bars. They don't care that they're literally drowning themselves.
I love that analogy.
You can only carry so much while treading water, and the minute your head goes under, you have to understand that you have to stop holding on to them and let those things go. You have to say no to work. You have to take care of the life first, and that life in this instance is the good of your employees, the mental state of your employees, the mental state of you, right? It's not about chasing that top line if your bottom line ain't moving, right? So you have to make sure that you understand who you are, what your company stands for, and then own that. But remember that end of the day, your people and your business and their minds are what's more important than losing one or two or three customers or a handful of jobs, right? Prioritize what's actually important. End of the day, the customer's important. Your employees, your everything about your life is more important. So treat it as such, right? That's a big thing people oftentimes, I think, just overlook because they're just chasing that gold bullion, right? It's like, no. You need to be looking forward for sustainability. So like you said, understanding what you can actually do, your velocity, and then being able to say no is huge. The biggest thing that I've found over my years of doing the road warrior thing, and then now I've got a whole new perspective, right? I've been at Printavo for a year, and I'm literally going into thousands of shops' production schedule. I'm looking at what's going on. I'm seeing these trends. I'm seeing things, and I'm helping them figure out efficiencies. And the biggest thing is that I'm noticing is the ones that are doing a good job with it are the ones that will admit they don't know everything and are constantly educating themselves and constantly learning, constantly asking questions, and never settling for anything as it is. They're not like, oh, Printavo, this is perfect. That's great. They're like, hey, but we wish Printavo could do this, but we would love if you could add this. And they're the ones that are helping push Printavo to the next level too, to help them.
But Matt, this is the way we've always done it.
Oh yeah, Alan, I don't know about you, but when I walked into a shop and I was doing the sales and consulting thing, they were like, I've been printing longer than you've been alive. I know what I'm doing. I'd be like, no, you've been doing it wrong since I've been alive. So right.
I heard that, and when I started when I was 20, of course they had. I mean, it wasn't hard to do that. My thing comes back going, who taught you? Well, the guy that I bought the business from. Who taught him? And they go through. I go, what if that first guy was a maniac?
or how many years have passed since then? Has technology caught up in any other way, right?
And
So much is changing. So much is a variable. Time and like processes. Software is a variable because software is either change, grow, or new ones come out. So you have to always be kind of focused on what you can get done, but always admitting that you don't know everything and that you're not doing the best that you can, and trying to make little improvements every single day. The littlest things do add up to hours down the road.
And
how do you tell somebody is learning is because they're changing something?
Yep.
Okay. So the people that are always doing things the same, I can tell you that they're not learning. The people that are constantly, like you just said, making these little 1% changes or just testing and trying stuff out, right? Those are the people that have a learning mindset that are going to be miles ahead of the competition at the end of the year or whatever, because they've adopted and they've changed and they've done some things, right? And I think the test factory for this that proves me correct is COVID.
Mm-hmm.
The shops that made changes, that tweaked whatever they were doing, are light years ahead, or maybe even still in business, than the ones that all we can do is events and schools. We're dead. Those people are out of business right now.
Yep, they're gone.
Right.
I think that's unfortunately, and fortunately, I think that COVID. Look, it took out some good people that didn't deserve to go out. Without a doubt, I won't say that didn't happen.
Right.
It also, in addition,
I'm not happy about it by any
right.
means.
But I am happy that I did take out some people that didn't need to be in the space to begin with. It took out the ones that were kind of phoning it in, that were kind of the underbelly of this industry. That was kind of the problem, anyways. Right. Good people unfortunately went, but people that needed to go also went, and the ones that survived were the ones that were able to evolve, the ones that were able to pivot, evolve, do new things. Admit,
we don't use the word pivot.
I thought but I thought I could do this, that, and the other. Looks like I can't anymore. I need to figure out what I can do and not give up, not let life just pull you down and keep you down. You figure out how to swim back up to that surface and take that breath.
Right. And Matt, I think, one of the things you and I run into, and Marshall does too, on some of these changes, when you're looking at fundamentals, when I try to bring it back to, it's not about being a better printer. You can do a lot of things wrong and have a good print come out. It's about being a profitable printer. When you have proper tension, proper squeegee, proper coating, you're going to be a more profitable printer. You're going to have better ink yields. You're going to have faster production speeds. And that's what it's all about. If you're not in it for the profit, unless you're I always, ask them, what do you have a 501(c)(3)? No? Okay, good. You're a capitalist. Let's go.
You're not a nonprofit?
You should be, because it's awful. Yeah.
So if you just want to use a sports metaphor for a reason, right? Think about professional athletes. Mm-hmm. Think about baseball players. It's baseball season, right? So how many times do you think they practice that double play move, right? Mm-hmm. So, or basketball, how many times do they spend practicing the different shots that they're going to make, right? I'm reading, my kid, is a giant Milwaukee Bucks fan. Congratulations to the Bucks for winning the NBA Finals. This is his favorite player, Giannis Antetokounmpo. I can't pronounce his name, but I'm reading his book right now because my son is crazy about this guy. And all this guy does is practice. And so it's all about the fundamentals. It's all about dialing it in, right? Mm-hmm. And doing things the proper way and understanding that and saying, hey, if I have a different footwork, if I know how to do something a little differently, I can be better at what I'm doing. And I think a lot of times in our industry, we focus on the wrong things. And Matt, you were talking a minute ago where everybody's focusing on the ink instead of how the screen gasket is made, right? And so this ink you've heard this your whole life, right? I bet, hey, this ink sucks. It doesn't work, right? Yep. No, the ink is fine. You're just a horrible screen maker, right? right.
Yep. You're on you have a soft squeegee with no edge, and you're trying to print on a 305 on a manual press, and
with a 12 Newton screen.
Yep.
I've seen somewhere you hope it's a 12 Newton with the wood frame that you've had because, well, it still prints since 20 years.
Oh yeah. Can you print with it? Yes.
Sure.
Should you print with it? No.
I was in a shop locally, and they said, when we bought the company, they have all these saved wood screens. They go, "What do you think we should do?" I go, "Are they good?" I said, "They go, well, I don't know. Could we have them restretch?" I go, "You have fire pit?" He goes, "Yeah." I go, "There's your kindling."
Exactly. Badass bonfire. Just I've seen cool shops do these giant bonfires with like the 300-old wood screens that are going to blow up from all the xylene still on them from years.
It's going to burn great. It's kindling. Yeah.
Hey, I tell you, the coolest things I've seen with wood frames. Haynes a couple years did a whole wall at a trade show with wood frame screens.
Oh yeah.
I thought that was really cool. I've seen that in some shops. I've seen them hung from the ceilings with like little art thing. I was at Ryanet 2 years ago for Shirt Lab Portland, and they made wooden benches out of them.
Oh, yeah.
So pretty cool,
and there are some good, I know there's some really nice heavy duty wood frames out there, but it's all about the tension is just there. Right. And
they're going to warp. Just don't use wood screens, guys.
So let's get to some comments real quick, and we'll wrap up here in a little bit. So Mike says for the Airbnb, yes, 24 hours and 10 times the knowledge. There's 7 people. Awesome. 7 people are coming to Shirt Lab Fort Worth and staying in an Airbnb, and they're maximizing that relationship.
And it's in different states they're all from. It's great.
Yeah. So considering that we have a twice-a-week calls as more of a mastermind group that has allowed us to share successes and avoid failures. And by the way, they're all in Tribe, Shirt Lab Tribe.
Shirt Lab Tribe, yeah.
Awesome. Mark says, hey, Mark, he's here. Mark says, two of the most important things to know: equipment capability and use, productivity, and cost control. That seems like 3. So Dave says, we've always done it this way. The phrase that kills.
It is the kiss of death.
Sean says, damn, I missed the whole show. Hey, Sean.
Hi, Sean from Atlanta. You know what, Sean? But you could watch this on the replay on YouTube or go to Spotify and on your audio podcast and listen to it.
Right. You know what? We're getting more podcast listeners every week.
That's great.
So Simon says, COVID, economy swings, and natural events have all served the color industry normally for the better. Baggage disappears, innovators and survivors stay around. I've seen this quite a few times in my tenure of life in this industry.
Absolutely.
Thanks, Simon. Appreciate it. Great comment. Yep. Great comment. So we've got, let's wrap up with this topic real quick, which is really just, and we've kind of been talking about it really. Yeah. About making better decisions. And so I'm a big process improvement guy kind of thing. And I know, Matt, you've been helping shops a lot. How can somebody that's watching right now learn to make better decisions? What do you think feeds into that?
I think taking a couple deep breaths before you make a decision is the first place to start. If you're hitting a turn, you have to go left or right. You don't have to necessarily run one direction. Now, you don't want to spend 10 minutes sitting there going, where do I go? But give yourself a minute to process. Think about what the next 3 steps are going to happen when you make a turn one way or the other. Yep. Just be aware of what can impact that, but don't be afraid to make a mistake. If you go left and you find out 3 steps later, there's a wall. I should have gone the other way. Well, now you're going to hit that impasse next time, and you're going to know where to go. So make a decision, but take a breather during the decision to allow yourself to actually breathe, let emotion go in that moment. Go off of what actual data inputs you have, unless it has to be an emotional thing. In that case, maybe go with your gut. Like if someone's coming in and they're being a pain in the ass every day, and you're thinking, should I fire them? You already should have fired them, right? So that's fine. But in other instances, make sure that you're thinking about it. Don't be afraid. I also tell people too, like, you got to be really careful, unfortunately, with just social media stuff. If you've got some real series of questions and you're finding that just Facebook is too toxic, that's okay. And you're in the majority. That's how a lot of us feel. Yeah. There are good consultants out there that you can actually have come to your shop and do work, or you can sign up for their programs. There are the ones that you're looking at on the screen are good. There are some ones that you might not have heard of. Ask about their customer base and make sure they're good before you spend money on them. But they are worth their weight in gold. Marshall's worth his weight. Allen's worth his weight. I'm worth his weight. It's a good thing to do. Yeah. Looking to have somebody come and train you, even if they come in, you pay them a couple $1,000, whatever it might be, and you're like, 50% of that I knew. Well, that you still learn 50% new stuff. That's 100% worth everything that you paid. Agreed. So it's don't be too good to think that you can't learn from somebody who's seen a lot more.
Yeah, I was just in Las Vegas on Monday, so that's what I do. I travel and do some stuff. And the other thing here, it just is. This is what Shirt Lab Tribe is all about. It's a safe, professional space for mentorship and finding the answers without getting ridiculed because you're asking, hey, what's a Newton? There's people there will absolutely help you, and you don't have to worry about it, and you avoid the profanity and crazy political posts and rants and digitizing spam, like in the other groups, they have all that, and we don't in our group, which is what makes Shirt Lab Tribe awesome. So
I think too, when you ask good questions, do you want answers or somebody's opinion? And Matt, you and I have talked about it, and Marshall, we all watch these boards, and we very rarely post anymore. And when we do, we regret it.
Mm-hmm.
There's always some keyboard warrior that wants to make a name for himself as a gunslinger.
And you know what? When someone has an exposure problem on screen, and all I start seeing is, well, I use this emulsion, that emulsion, this emulsion. No, he didn't ask what you're using. He has a problem. And you don't want somebody's opinion. So,
reach out to Alan, reach out to Marshall. If you want help with Printavo, reach out to me. Like we can all do in-shop visits too and help you with your process building. Standardizing the operational procedures is really, really important too.
And what emulsion works in Arizona is not going to work in Cleveland.
Well, it could. It's all about how's your shop set up.
Yeah, right.
So on there, it's all about controlling environmental variables. They're in the environment, and Arizona is different than I was in, Pittsburgh this week at Commonwealth Press. It was just humid as can be in there and raining. And it's like I'm in the tropical rainforest. And, it just is.
So Mike wants to know, is a Newton what goes in the middle of a cookie?
Actually, the middle of the cookie is the fig.
The fig
Newton. The Newton is around it, Mike. So let's get real on it.
Made of figs.
Got it.
The only way I'll eat a fig Newton.
The big fig Newton. So absolutely.
Right. So, and then Dave says, better decisions comes with open mind and ability to know you don't know everything, right?
And you know what a good rep does, a good consultant, where I think all three of us, I don't know everything. You know what I have? Numbers and emails of people I can call. I can call Matt. Marshall has called me a zillion times on the road. He knows what he knows. And I will call on winners. I was at I remember a shop, and there was something I'd never seen. I took some pictures and I emailed them right to Richard Greaves and Lawn Winners. Well, they knew the answer right away. So I became a genius.
Mm-hmm. You don't tell your customer that you got it from
actually, I told him,
Lawn,
I said, look, I don't know. I know I actually do now. When I was younger, I probably didn't. But I do now. I said, look, I'm not quite sure. I think it might be this. I'm going to take some pictures, send it off to some people who know more than me.
Right.
And so that's what good people do. They don't act like they know everything. Mm-hmm. I know what I know. Matt knows what he knows. Marshall knows what he knows. Matt knows stuff I don't. Marshall knows stuff I don't. And together, it's a great thing. We have Lawn Winners, Richard Greaves, all these people. And when you go to a show, you go to Shirt Lab, this is where you're getting to the nitty gritty, where it's just sitting down, just talking about things.
Yeah, I think and I tell us when people are interested, hey, as a coach, how are you going to help me? Do you have all the answers? And I say, I don't have all the answers. My job is to ask better questions. And I can pull out what you need, and either I know the answer to that, or I know with about a 5-minute email or a text, I can get the answer that's going to solve that. And that's kind of how I kind of arrange things. So
and we're forgetting another guy, Mark Saldonik's on here with GSG.
Yeah.
Matt, do you know Mark real well, Matt?
I don't.
Oh, you guys, you must come to Fort Worth and get together. You two together would be solving the problems of the world.
Plans are to be there, so I'm looking forward to it.
All right, good.
Yeah, right. So where are we on our comments here? So Frank says using Printavo is a great decision.
Amen to that. Preach,
And
everybody.
Jesse
Get on
wants to
Printavo.
be included in the help also. So let's
Absolutely
include him.
Great. There's so many people. We're always forgetting people.
Water-based ink guru.
Well, and Jesse's been in the industry a long time. He knows stencil making. He knows direct-to-garment. You know, all of us have these things that we're a little bit expertise in, but we are varied in our career. So, yeah. So
Peter says, great show, guys. They're going to see you at DAX next week.
Absolutely.
Nancy Minnie from Madeira is here. Hey, Nancy, thanks for coming back.
We had Nancy on a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah, so, and then Peter says, great show, guys.
Thank you, buddy.
Thank you, Peter.
Hey, and before we go, I want to plug Shirt Lab real quick. So if you haven't gotten a ticket yet, please go to shirtlablive.com. And don't forget, we're selling live tickets, and there's also virtual streaming. So if you can't make it because of travel restrictions, or you don't want to go to Dallas for some reason, right? Mm-hmm. You live stream the whole thing, and you can see the content. And if you miss something, there's a recording thing you're going to get, right? So, it's a good opportunity for you to do that. So we have a dynamite lineup, some just fabulous folks sharing their knowledge. I was talking with Mark Coudray yesterday, actually, and his segment is called The Physics of Profit, which is going to be a brand new thing, information he's not given out ever, just for Shirt Lab Fort Worth, all about how to make more money and how to make more profit, right?
Yep.
That's one of about a dozen speakers, right? So I think it's something you're going to find very interesting. And whether you're there live or you watch the live stream, I think you'll get a lot out of that. And this is actionable strategy, tactics stuff that you can take to improve your business right now. That's what we're doing, right? So anyway,
so many good speakers. Jason Rink, Eric Campbell. Man, that's going to be an incredible one on embroidery. So
there you go. Peter Walsh. Really looking forward to Shirt Lab Fort Worth. Okay?
It's going to be a good time.
Thanks. And Dave says you can plug Multicraft if you want.
You just did, Dave.
William says thanks. Frank Good says thanks.
We're going to have Frank on in a few weeks.
Great weekend, everyone. So before we go, Matt, what are you doing this weekend? Just as, hanging out? What's up?
This weekend, I've got a lot of work to do because the next couple of weeks, I've got a lot of travel between Atlantic City, Dallas, Fort Worth. I've got a consulting gig out in Arizona between those weeks, too.
Great.
Where in Arizona?
Tucson.
Well, that's too far for me to go.
Oh, bummer. This weekend's going to be doing a lot of catch up for my print shop, Sound and Fury, getting stuff going with Printavo folks. I'm still working on closing up some different projects we got going on. So a lot of catch up and hanging out with the family. It's pretty much going to be it.
Good. So you're working this weekend like me.
Like all of us, I think. Yep. Maybe not Alan.
I am actually, I'll be leaving tomorrow for Florida. I am driving my parents' car down because they are going to be full-time in Florida. And I'm supposed to, so I have to leave in my car for a week. I'll be down in Florida.
Marco Island, where are they moving to?
Naples.
Okay,
I'm picturing you in a convertible, just the wind in your face. Just
my parents' car. Now, my stepdad, Gary, he is amazing. He's a car guy. He had a 57 Corvette that he built from like a pile of rust, convertible, and sold that. He does have a Shelby Mustang I offered to drive down. He's having that sent down on a trailer.
I didn't trust him with it.
I offered to babysit for him, but he said no.
He doesn't want the miles on it.
Yeah, so no, I'm taking their SUV down for them. They'll fly down in a week. They're going to have my Jeep, and they will actually leave it at the airport on Saturday, so I can pick it up on Saturday night when I come back from Chicago. So yeah, awesome. So that's my week. But I will still be working. I will still be available. I'm going to have to bring a microphone and a camera because Marshall and Matt, you will be in Atlantic City. I will be at that show, and this will be fun. We'll see what happens.
We're trying,
or a disaster, but we'll see.
He's going to be at the DAC show. I'm going to be in Atlantic City, and we're going to try to do our show from the 2 remote locations. What could go wrong?
I'm going to be at the Atlantic City one behind you, Marshall, just to ruin it for you. So don't worry.
Make animal noises.
Yeah.
And so it's going to be lots of fun. I'm flying to out on Tuesday because I'm teaching classes on Wednesday, and it's an all-day adventure to go west to East Coast. And I'm doing a shop visit on Thursday. So look for me around the show on Wednesday if you're there. Also Friday morning. And then right after my class on Friday, I'm heading back to Philly to fly back out. So
I'll be there the whole time, folks. If you have any questions on Printavo or anything else too, please feel free to talk to me at the show, guys.
Yep.
And if you're going to the DAC show, I'll be running around there. Come and introduce yourself. If I don't know you, come see me. It'll be fun.
Yeah. And I always stay at the Sheridan right across from the convention center. So let's have breakfast. Let's get some coffee or a beer. If you're going, love to see you. So, and so real quick, Sean says, let me know when you're coming through Georgia. Not going through Georgia. Sorry, Sean.
No, I think he's talking to me because I'll be driving through Georgia.
Oh yeah. Well, yeah. I don't think is Atlanta on your way? Because you're probably coming down through Memphis, right?
No, it'll be 75, I-75 all the way down.
Oh, okay.
So
yeah, you should stop in Atlanta and get some lunch.
Atlanta's such a great place to drive through. So Sean's in Alpharetta, I believe, which is on the north side of it. I know where that is. And maybe I will, Sean, just stop by. We'll see how it goes.
And Dave says, a great show, guys. Excellent job, Matt, the print guru and consultant.
Absolutely.
Thanks, Dave.
All right. With that, we'll see you guys next week. Stay tuned for the misadventures of trade show broadcasting.
Yep. And don't forget, after that, ISS Fort Worth Shirt Lab, we're broadcasting there from GSG.
Yeah.
So
Big shout out to Matt today. Thank you for your time, buddy.
Thanks for having me, guys. Appreciate you.
Stay online.
See you. Bye.